Hi, I'm Ryan Szymanski, curator for Battleship New Jersey Museum and Memorial. And today, we're back in my dining room for another Pictures Worth 1,000 Words video. Today's video is super cool. We had a hard time picking what picture we were going to talk about because we have a researcher who's been going through the archives at the National Archives down in College Park, Maryland. She goes to school down there, and so she moonlights going through their archives for Battleship New Jersey related stuff for us. And she's recently started scanning 1940s and 50s era pictures. So far, she's scanned a couple hundred pictures, and many of these pictures are, the National Archives have had researchers go through them. Many of them show up in books, and we've seen other places. I don't think any of them are like, look at this never before seen picture. But oftentimes the researchers pick like one photo from a set of photos. Halsey at Thanksgiving dinner, like there's that one famous picture of him sitting on the mess deck, but there's actually 3 or 4 other pictures of him as well. And while the picture that all these researchers have chosen is the best picture of him, these other pictures show parts of the ship that like only the museum people like us care about, but they show parts of the ship that we haven't seen before. Like during World War II, we know that on the mess decks there's a third serving line. There's the 2 that are still there today, and a third one. Well, the picture of Halsey shows him getting his Thanksgiving dinner off of this third serving line. So now this thing that we only knew of from like line drawings in the blueprints, we can now see a physical picture of it. But we didn't go with a picture like that today. This picture ties itself more to a very specific time period. And while not all of the pictures have this kind of data card with it, this one does, and even without it, we could probably tell a lot about the photo. But it's pretty cool. Actually, it's marked confidential from way back in the day. But this picture is dated 25 December 1944, and we could have gotten it down to Christmas Eve or Christmas Day without that date. It is on board Battleship New Jersey, and the subject line here is Fleet Admiral Chester W. Nimitz's new 5-star flag being hauled down after having been broken on board USS New Jersey BB-62. So, here's the picture in portrait so you can read it, or excuse me, here's the picture in landscape so you can read that text. Now let's flip this to portrait so we can actually look at the picture itself. One of the questions I've always had is where were Admiral's flags broken on the battleship? She has a foremast, which is on the forward superstructure, and a mainmast, which is on the funnels. The main mast is, well, both are there to support radars, but the foremast has a pair of halyards coming off the sides that would have been used for signal flags. The mainmast one has a single halyard at the base of the funnel. The mainmast one also has a single flag bag at the base of the funnel, so it seems like signal flags were stowed there as well. Although in pictures of the ship, I only ever see signal flags flown from the foremast, and the signal flag shelter, a splinter-protected space where signalmen could be during general quarters until given the order to send the lowest-ranking guy out there to signal the fleet to do something. That only exists up forward. As far as I know, there's no comparable space back aft. So it seems like that signal flag shelter on the 03 flag bridge is likely the only place that exists. Now, breaking a flag, admirals are flag officers, which means that they've got their own flag. They fly their flag specifically on their flagship, a ship that flies an admiral's flag, so that other ships can look around and figure out which one is flying the flag, so they know where to get their orders from. So if they see that ship making signals, they know it's orders that they're probably supposed to follow. Depending on the rank of the admiral, their flag will have a different number of stars. Usually it's 1 for Rear Admiral lower half, a Commodore in other navies, 2 for Rear Admiral upper half, 3 for Vice Admiral, 4 for Admiral. And then during World War II, the rank of 5-star Admiral was developed relatively late in 1944. Likewise, 5-star General, General of the Army, is also come up with at the same time period. 4 people are given that 5-star Admiral rank: King, Leahy, Nimitz, and eventually Halsey, although at the time this picture is taken, Halsey has not received one yet. What makes this picture special is this is the very first time that a 5-star flag is ever broken on an American warship, and it's Battleship New Jersey. Now, why is this happening in December of 1944? Admiral Nimitz, who's just promoted to this rank, flies out to the battleship. His staff must have brought this flag, because I don't believe this would have been issued to the ship, because when she sails from Pearl Harbor most recently, the rank just doesn't exist. So some background on this picture. The date says 25 December 1944. We suspect that that is wrong. We have the deck logs as well, which also came out of the National Archives. And the deck logs say that the flag was broken on 24 December when Nimitz comes on board. And he departs on 26 December. But the deck logs say that his flag is put up and then brought down again immediately. So it's the first time this flag is broken over a ship, but he's not really bumping Halsey's flag. So they're putting it up because it's what you do when an admiral comes on board, and then he's like, no, bring it down. So this picture is probably taken on the 24th of December. It looks staged to me if you look at these 2 sailors. The one guy is sort of just holding it, the other one's standing there, and the sailors in the background are just like looking right at the camera, like watching the guy. So it seems like a staged picture, like the photographer went up there, and this picture was specifically to get footage of the first time a 5-star flag is broken. So why is Nimitz flying out to Ulithi Atoll in Christmas of 1944? Part of it's morale, visiting the crew. These guys have just gotten back from supporting the operations in the Philippines, the Battle of Leyte Gulf, the subsequent operations there. So everybody's pretty worn out. So the fleet comes back to Ulithi for some R&R around the holidays. Nimitz comes out to meet him. But really, he's meeting with Halsey. Halsey has, in the last couple of months, made a couple of questionable decisions. You've got Bull's Run during the Battle of Leyte Gulf in October of 44. And then just before Christmas here, you've got Typhoon Cobra, where Halsey sails his ships through a typhoon and loses a couple, causes all sorts of damage, which is another reason why the fleet is returned to Ulithi to repair the equivalent damage of if they had just fought a Japanese fleet, the fleet that they missed fighting in October. So a lot of cool and important stuff happening around this photograph. Nimitz ultimately leaves with a high opinion of Halsey still. Halsey will go on to fight some other successful campaigns, not get a chance to fight the Japanese fleet again, even though he really tries to hang his neck out there and get him to come out, like operating in the South China Sea and other things like that. He will sail his fleet through another typhoon, this time without Battleship New Jersey present. But ultimately, it's not questionable decision-making that he isn't made the 4th and final 5-star Admiral of the Navy. Like I said earlier, he doesn't have his 5-star flag yet, but at the end of the war, he will get his, and no other American Admiral Spruance or any of the others will. So Nimitz walks away from this with a high opinion of him. Just looking at this though, this picture is likely taken from near amidships facing the starboard side. I'm imagining that because you've got the 5-inch gun there, which I think is mount 59, the aftmost starboard side gun, because it's facing aft. That gun probably is not facing forward. It does have an arc that can point that direction, but it's more likely facing aft here. And then some other cool stuff you can see here along the railings, the floater nets that are there. Just as an emergency life-saving thing. If the ship sinks, these nets will come out of these baskets and float, and a bunch of sailors can get on these nets that have cork around them. Of course, in the South Pacific, the water is warm enough that they're going to be relatively safe in there. You can see a railing bolted around the top of this 5-inch gun, which is interesting. And you can even see in the background here a little angled piece that is probably the gun captain's gun sight. It doesn't look like a piece of that railing. It looks like it's in the background. The 5-inch guns do not have railings, and we don't have any of these gun sights. The gun sights look very similar to the 40mm gun sights. They're round, and they've got a couple of concentric circles in them. And they just sit on like an L-shaped bracket sticking out of the front of this opening that's in the roof for the gun captain to stick his head out. You can even see a scuttle on the deck on the left-hand side, partially obscured by the sailor that looks like he's wearing black pants, partially obscured behind his leg. That may be the decanning scuttles that are still up there, which are for the 5-inch practice loading machine, which I believe is to the left off camera here. If I'm correct about the direction this picture is being taken from, then extreme left is the aft funnel, and then there will be the practice loading machine, and then there's where these guys are standing a little bit further aft. So that may be the faux decanning scuttle where they would throw the aluminum cans that the powder comes into. Those are still there, even though the practice loading machine is gone. The other cool feature that you can see, all 3 of the 4 sailors here who are wearing hats, you can tell that they're not white hats. They've all been dyed blue. So they're the standard white Dixie cups, but very common during World War II, especially for sailors who have assignments on deck like signalmen or gunner's mates. Their hats are dyed blue. This would have likely been done on board the ship, and you can see that some of the hats appear to be very dark. Some of them are kind of, the one on the right is much lighter. That may be a factor of the batches of dye, or maybe a factor of standing out in the sun, and the one on the right is just more faded. So, did you notice anything cool in this picture that we didn't talk about? Really cool historic event. Let us know in the comment section down below. Battleship New Jersey receives operating support from the New Jersey Department of State, also from a number of other businesses and private individuals like yourselves. We really appreciate your support. There's a link in the description below if you'd like to donate to support the museum. You can also support us by liking, sharing, and subscribing so more people find about us and our channel. Thanks for watching.